Hey, Cavs fans, Spencer German, Spencer Davies, a little Spencer Squared action for you. Not quite midnight tonight.
No, it's like 11:45. So I feel like we're getting a little
11:30.
better.
It's 11:30, so we're 30 minutes early. So we said 11:15. We were trying to set the bar a little higher. Ended up being 11:30. It's all good. We're
A
here
lot
to
of
help.
stuff going on in that locker room,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
That's all it is.
We're trying to get through all the videos put out. We're doing the best we can, but we're glad that you're here with us as we recap what was a 136-110 win for the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight over the Kings. And Spence, I like big takeaways from this one from your perspective, but I think the biggest thing is just another Western Conference team comes in. They're playing sort of this different style. They're one of the top 3-point shooting teams in the NBA, similar to last Monday when you had the Clippers in town. And the Cavaliers took care of business and really did it in pretty much dominant fashion. The game was pretty much in hand for most of it. There was a moment in the fourth quarter where the Kings cut it to 10. JB calls a timeout. They kind of rallied and got things back on track, and they coasted the rest of the way. But I think it's another sort of statement win for this Cavaliers team here as we roll into the month of February.
How many statements have you counted?
Yeah, I mean, there's been quite a few on this streak, hasn't there?
It's getting hard, right? It's getting hard. You win 14 out of 15 games. You're going into this All-Star break after this next 4 games, and you're really competing hard. You're competing
Yeah.
hard and against good teams. You're doing it on the road. You're doing it at home, and the best thing you can say is that they're just having fun. They're having fun out there. They're sharing the game. They're celebrating each other, and there's not really much more into going into X's and O's. Like it's legitimately about them really wanting each other to succeed,
Yeah.
and it's on both ends of the floor. It's the identity that they've created by generating these 3-point shots. The way that they're coming, they're not isolation based threes most of the time. Sometimes, but like Max Strus had 5 threes tonight. That's the most he's had in a little bit, and
Six threes. Actually.
six threes,
Yeah,
six threes tonight. They're look at that. I already lost track of that. And it's this is the most he's had since the beginning of the season, and that obviously that opener in Brooklyn. It was a terrific night for Max Strus. It was a terrific night for Karis LeVert off the bench. You had Donovan Mitchell setting the tone. Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley getting 13 rebounds and 11 points,
Yeah.
almost getting a triple double with a season high, tying 7 assists. So it's everybody coming together doing their part. Isaac Okoro in the open floor. They had 31 fast break points tonight. It's ridiculous. And you said that they're kind of playing this fast paced style against the Clippers and the Kings, but I feel like that's actually becoming a part of them too.
Yeah.
And it's in all good ways. And I mean, they're just rolling right now, guys.
Some other key stats for you guys. 136 points is the second most they've scored this season. We mentioned the 3-pointers from Max Strus. Donovan Mitchell had 5 as well. Strus had 6, like we said. 23 total threes tonight. That ties the most this season in a single game. The franchise record for the regular season is 25 threes, so they were just a couple shy of that. 36 assists tonight, which is the second most they've had this season as well. And then they shot 58% from the floor, which is the second highest this season. 56%, 56.1% from three, which was the second highest this season they shot from three. Just really, really impressive numbers offensively. You mentioned Donovan Mitchell, he had 29 points, 5 assists. Strus had 22, including those 6 threes, which I think he did kind of set the tone for the 3-point barrage tonight. He hit one early with like about a minute into the game. And then he shot through the first quarter. He hit 3 threes in the first quarter, and those were his first 3 buckets. So that kind of set the tone for this becoming that game. And every time it seemed like the Cavs are kind of building this lead, the Kings came firing back because they can knock down some threes too. But to your point on just this becoming their identity, I think as you talk playoffs, as you think about that, because I know that's where a lot of fans' heads are at. You guys are like, all right, we've seen these great runs. They won 8 in a row. They've won 5 in a row now. But I want to get to the playoffs and see what this team does at that time of year. And I totally get why that's a lot of the people's perspective. But I do think like the thing that you can take away from these games is the fact that they're playing this new style and they're showing that they can beat teams like that, but they can go back to doing things that they did last year or even earlier this year and beat teams with more of a dogfight as well. And I think that's a huge, huge thing when you go to the postseason is being able to change your style and game plan for different teams. And I think we're seeing that happen during the stretch.
Get you a squad that can do both.
Yeah.
Right? You can get down and dirty, dig one out. I mean, look, did you watch the game in Memphis? That was an awful game. Awful game. And against a team that they probably shouldn't have had anything to do with being in that game, that late fourth quarter, especially. You had guys on 10-day contracts. You had guys on, the 2-way contracts, whoever was playing in that game. and they should not have been in a dogfight like that. However, that was the way that the game shook out, and they ended up winning the game. No style points for it, but they did it. You look at the next game that they play again. You're going down to San Antonio, and Evan Mobley sets the tone.
Yeah.
Jarrett Allen sets the tone against Victor Wembanyama, obviously trying to make a statement, as the team said that night. And then you come into tonight, you're facing a Kings team who we know is electric offensively. They are
And
fast and they cut.
and they're on a road trip where I think I looked it up earlier. I think they had won 5 of 6 on this road trip.
Mm-hmm.
This was the last game of the road trip, so they were trying to kind of go out on a high note. And you gave them their second loss on the road trip. So I like to your point, like just playing really good basketball now right now against other really good teams.
100%. And, smart and kudos to the game plan as well. Get up and down the floor, try and outrun these guys because they are going to be tired on the last leg of their road trip, 7-game road trip that the Kings were on. It started on the West Coast and then it came to the East. And, they were just in Chicago the other night, put up 123 on the Bulls. But, tonight, other than, Domas Sabonis almost getting a triple double in the first quarter, they really had some tough sledding outside of the 3-point shot that they were matching the Cavs in the first half, but that did not sustain in the second half. But it was a fun game there, for the first 3.5 quarters or so.
I think another thing that JB Bickerstaff actually talked about pregame too is just the depth of this team, and that's
Mm-hmm.
part of why they can play different styles, right? Because you have guys that can do different things. I mean, Max Strus, I think, gets put in a box as like, well, they brought him in here to be a shooter, and all post game, all we heard in the locker room was guys talking about, yeah, I didn't really realize Max Strus was as good on defense as he is, and I didn't
Mm-hmm.
really realize that Max Strus could do this thing and that thing. Like they have so many different players that can do different things that are versatile, and that I think also is going to come in handy come playoff time. And JB kind of joked he doesn't really like to go to 10 players in his rotation, but he kind of by default has to because so many guys have played well that they've kind of earned those opportunities. So it's going to be interesting to see how he manages those 10 players and how, the amount of depth that he has on his team as we get down this home stretch and into the playoffs eventually.
Damn that Sam Merrill. He comes in, he hits 3 out of 4. I think what,
Yeah,
in 10 minutes? What did he play? 10
Yeah,
minutes?
yeah, 10 minutes. I think
That's
something like that.
insane.
Maybe a
He
little
come-
bit over that because he
Yep.
came in late with like 2 minutes to go.
Yep.
But yeah, he was 3 for 4 from 3. Yeah.
That's what he's talking about. That's what JB's talking about. He's forcing his hand, right? And you talk about Max Strus being the good defender he is. I'm looking at his offensive impact even without the ball. Teams pay attention to that stuff. Look at when Max is on the floor. Look at when Sam Merrill's on the floor. You see one or two guys looking at him as soon as the drill penetration goes toward him, or it looks like they're going to pass towards him. That just shifts the defense a little bit. It's going to get the paint open a little bit more for drivers or for lobs over the top to Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley. These are effective things in this Cavs offense that they did not have a year ago. They did not have that threat outside. And even Isaac Okoro, can we give him a little bit of credit for hitting some threes too, in addition to his transition game and how good he's been defensively. And you'll hear about that from Donovan Mitchell after every single game in the Cavs locker room, by the way.
No doubt about
It's a team effort. It is cohesive and it's really fun to watch. And not to, go a little too further, but I think their defense has been excellent the last, 1.5, 2 months. They've just been on point whenever they have needed to switch. If Jarrett Allen or Evan Mobley switched on guys, we know how good they are. But, Max Strus is being more aggressive in trying to get steals. He's obviously crashing the glass. How about Donovan Mitchell, the defense he's playing? I think he's averaging a career high in steals. I know his steal percentage is way up there, and he's also kind of fronting and getting into guys. It's all over the place, all over the map. Karis LeVert, I think George Niang in spots too has been very good. Nice burly dude in there to try and stop those guys from trying to back down.
I think the other thing that's interesting with Strus is like he's always just kind of been a streaky shooter throughout his career. He's gonna have nights like this. He's gonna have nights where he hits like one. No, that's just kind of his game.
It's a volume thing, guys.
Right, but he finds ways to impact the game when he's not hitting the threes. Like he finds other phases where he can impact it. And I think that just speaks to the mentality of this team as a whole, and so I think that's huge.
Twice he got Domas tonight, by the way, on the steals, on the inbounds.
That's right. But along those lines, just the camaraderie of this team, how together they are, how they're able to play different styles, and they all just kind of bounce off each other. I think one thing we both have noticed about just the vibe in the locker room this year, it's we're doing press conferences, and you guys can check out all the videos that this guy right here, Spence, put up on the Cavs Insider YouTube channel. Like they'll be answering a question, whether it's Karis LeVert or Donovan Mitchell tonight or whoever, and somebody comes walking by and they yell something at them, and then it becomes like this side conversation that while the interview's going on, like there's just this vibe about this group. and it feels like they're very together.
Mhm.
They're all kind of bought into winning. Like they're unselfish in that like when somebody has a good night, Donovan Mitchell always is hyping up Isaac Okoro as he should be a first team all defense, and he's hyping up Max Strus, and then Max Strus is hyping him up, and they're joking about, which we'll get to here in a second, Donovan Mitchell playing in the joining the 3-point contest for the All-Star game. It's just all these different sort of vibes and all these different sort of the camaraderie is
Yes.
the word I'm looking for. I think it's special, and that stuff it doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but it does matter, especially when you're talking about a team that you're hoping goes far in the playoffs.
100%. And I think the thing that really shows how together this team is, you know, Donovan came into this locker room last year. He was a little bit more strict, little
Yeah,
serious, like even joking around, calling them, children in the back. And now he's a part of the shenanigans, guys. If you listen to any of the post game videos that I put out there, he is in the back just making noises. He's joining in on
we
the
were dissecting
fun.
what noise he was making
We
in the
have no
video. Yeah,
idea. There's some squeal. It's just some really funny crap going on in the back of those
it
bitter
is.
post game interviews. For example, Karis Levert's talking to us about the game, and all of a sudden you hear Donovan Mitchell asking to stay at his house, right in the
Yeah, his
background,
house in Indiana. Yeah,
and he looks over, and Karis is like, "Nope, got people staying there." And then like you said, the continuous conversations, even when the cameras are on,
yeah,
that stuff you can tell when a locker room's truly together, and there's a lot of chemistry, a lot of good vibes going on. Immaculate vibes, as one Cavalier put last year.
yeah. I think that stuff's huge. It's the type of stuff that can carry you far come postseason time. We'll see how it impacts the Cavs down the stretch here. One last thing, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it up. I mentioned it a little bit. Donovan Mitchell was an addition to the 3-point contest for the NBA All Star game. His teammates were all vouching for him that he has a chance to win it. We know he's not he's not Steph Curry like in the way he shoots. It's a good field. I know Damian Lillard's in it. I think
Albert.
Tyrese
Yep.
Halliburton's in it. I'm trying to. Did Tyrese Maxey join, or was that them campaigning for him
I
to
think
join?
that's either a campaign
Okay.
or there's
Either way,
Mhm.
there's a good field. What do you give Donovan Mitchell in terms of the chances for him to win the 3-point contest here in a couple weeks?
I didn't know you were going to ask me the chances. He's typically more of a pull-up three-point shooter,
Yeah,
not really a catch-shoot
yeah,
guy, and this is kind of more in the sense of a catch-shoot situation. But he's going to have the rack on whatever sack he wants, and he's going to try and get, he's trying to win this for Sam Merrill, guys,
yeah.
because Sam Merrill's the one who they all believe in the
Should be
Cavs
it.
locker room should be in this contest. However, Sam elected to spend time with family and also probably play a little bit of golf.
Can't,
Donovan,
can't can't argue with that, honestly.
hey, wait till they pull the WWE swerve on us. Donovan's coming out for the entrance, and then out behind him comes
Sam
Sam
Merrill
Merrill,
comes right.
pops out. He's wearing some hoodie or something
Oh
like
my
that.
gosh.
Comes into the game. But honestly, I mean, I would not ever bet against Donovan just as a competitor in
Yeah,
general. In this contest, he's obviously going to have his hands full, but should be a fun show to watch.
certainly gives Cavs fans another reason to tune into that event. See if Donovan Mitchell can pull it off. Maybe he can get a little. He'll grab it off the rack and take a couple steps. He can kind of pretend he's running into the shot there, but we'll see. Guys, we appreciate you following along as always. Couple stories up over at CavsInsider.com, just writing about the night they had from three. And also, this was another note. Cavs now second in the East with this win tonight, just based on win percentage. So obviously a lot still can change. We're not quite at a point where we need to worry about all that stuff yet. But without the Bucks playing tonight, they jumped them. So they're right in the mix. They're right near the top of the standings. That's some good stuff going on for Cleveland here down the stretch. You can read about it all over at CavsInsider.com, and of course find more content like this on the Cavs Insider YouTube page. We appreciate you guys following along. Continue to follow along with all things Cavs with Cavs Insider.